Welcome everyone to this briefing brought to you by the Israel Defense and Security Forum, IDSF. In Hebrew, our name is Bitchonistim. IDSF is the leading Israeli organization advocating for strong national security policies to guide the state of Israel. Thank you, of course, to all of our viewers and supporters for tuning in to this briefing to allow us to bring you a bit behind the headlines of what is happening here in Israel. In today's briefing, we are going to speak about the civilian emergency response teams in Israel called the Kitot Konanut. On October 7th, when the IDF was not able to rapidly respond to the influx of terrorists from Gaza attacking the towns along the Gaza border, it was the civilians who defended their own homes and their own communities. These towns each had and still have an emergency response team that is charged with maintaining the security for their own communities. Many of these members fought valiantly on October 7th. And joining us today is Sharon Turgelman and Ari Kaller to discuss much more in detail about these emergency response teams. They are joining us from the Hineni Forum, which they only founded after October 7th, and we'll get into what that means and why. Sharon is 47 years old, married with 3 children, and lives in Kfar Harif in the Shfela. He holds the rank of major in the Army Reserves, is a former company commander and a former Shin Bet and special unit member. He had the foresight 10 years ago to understand the need to establish a local emergency response team in his community, and thus they were ready to go on October 7th. We're also joined by Ari Kaller, who comes to us from the Eshkol town up in the north and is a board member of Hineni. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining.
Thank you very much for having us.
So let's start, Sharon. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about who you are, what you do in the civilian sector, before we really jump into this war and what the emergency response teams do. And then Arik, you as well, who you are, where you live, and what you do in the real world, so to speak.
All right. For the last 15 years, I'm completely doing something else instead of security, and I'm a superintendent in the construction industry in Israel. Most of my time I'm building houses and repairing them, and doing my reserves every year, around 30 to 40 days reserve in my reserve unit.
And Arik, what about yourself?
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to introduce myself. I hope everybody can hear me. Good morning, everyone. It's afternoon here in Israel. I come from Eshkol, which is a small community up in the Galilee. It's near Carmiel and the Arab cities of Sakhnin, Arabe, and Dir Khana. Some of the cities, unfortunately, we heard about them in the news lately. I work as a gardener. I'm a landscape architect. That's my civil work. But for the last 10 years, I've been volunteering as the head of CERT in Eshkol, CERT Community Emergency Response Team. It's been pretty different and changed since October 7th. We had a giant leap in our community emergency response team. I have to say that the war brought us a lot of some new and some old challenges. Eshkol is a small community which is based on secular and religious people. It's a small community up in the Galilee, in the state of Israel. And on Shomer Chomot in 2021, we had shots fired at our yeshuv from the area of Sakhnin. And another settlement around us here was, they had this small accident of Molotov cocktails that were supposed to be thrown at Kibbutz Ashbal, which is near us, but they had a small accident, the terrorists, and it didn't work for them. 27 Molotov cocktails were found outside that kibbutz. About a month ago, in Sakhnin, they got to arrest a terrorist group of around 13 people who got arrested. They were arrested in Sakhnin, which is a town close to us, but the information that led to their arrest was found by IDF soldiers in Gaza. The intelligence brought from Gaza got to the people who live next to me, around a mile away from my house. So those people, those terrorists got arrested due to what's happening in Gaza. And these are neighbors of us who live less than a mile away.
That's exactly the story, Moshe. That's exactly the story. Us being a gardener and a superintendent, but holding guns and ready to protect our homes and families. And whatever we're gonna do in our civilian life, we'll call it that way, is okay until the minute we are called to protect our home. And that's exactly what us and other 360 other Kitot Konenut that are members in our organization in any are doing, protecting and being the actual Iron Dome of the settlements. That's exactly what we are doing.
Thank you. And I want to understand a little bit better what the role is of these emergency response teams. But before we do that, the name of your organization is Hineni. Can you just please, for our English-speaking audience, can you translate that word and why you chose that word?
Okay, Hineni is me, but me being ready to. Okay, so if I'm translating Hineni is I'm ready to. What I'm ready to is to protect my family and neighbors. And us being ready to do that, we are doing it voluntarily, and we are not being paid for that, and it's okay by us because we are understanding that this is what we are supposed to do. We thought about that name exactly for that reason. For all the people that are members in the Kitot Konenut are thinking that way. We're not doing it for a special kind of benefits or whatever. We are doing it because we are ready to do it.
If I can add a few words, everybody who went to Bible school as a kid knows this word, Hineni. It was used several times in the Bible. One of the most known times is when Moses said Hineni to the burning bush when he was asked to lead the people of Israel. It was used several times. The meaning, it's a heavy meaning. It's not just here I am or I am here. It means I am here. I'm ready to walk the path, walk the way, and to even sacrifice myself.
Very powerful. So why don't we just jump right in? And are you able to share a story, an example of the emergency response team in action and what they're capable of accomplishing?
Yes, I will share two stories. One is from October 7th. It's a story that was told from the Ravshats, the security a member of kibbutz Nir-Am. She was ready and understanding the thing that is going on, and spread all her Kitat Konenut around the kibbutz. And by that, she was managed to kill all the terrorists that and no one was ready to enter the kibbutz. Another story that I want to tell is it's about my settlement, and it was in February 16th, 300 meters from our village. There was a terror attack, some kind of a junction here. And the police told us that the terrorist there was killed, but they suspected that there is another one. And what we did is call all our Kitat Konenut and spread all over the settlement, took everybody inside their homes, and was ready to protect whoever will try to contact with us. And that thing, only the reason that we have guns and we are ready to protect and going outside of the settlement and ready to encounter whoever will try to enter it, is giving the civilians a very good sense of security, that they know that they are not alone. You need to understand, because of the time and distance between the settlements and the nearest police officer or the nearest police station, the only way that you can do protect our settlement is by us. Because if I have a gun in my closet and I can just in a few minutes take it and go to my post and stand there and do whatever I need to do, is faster, in about 15 to 20 minutes faster than the closest police officer that can come here. So that's another story and another way of looking at it.
Thank you. And I just want to clarify for all of our viewers, Sharon, you're using the term settlement, but just to be clear, you live in central Israel. Kfar Harif, I live in Beit Shemesh. I think you're maybe 20-minute drive from me. Exactly. So everyone should understand that these emergency response teams, they're all over Israel. They're in all of the cities, in all of the towns, protecting the communities. So Sharon, tell me, these emergency response teams are in place. Why was it necessary to form this organization, Hineni, that you have?
Okay, I think the representation of the Kitot Konenut is very important in front of the government and in front of police, and even in front of when you are trying to buy equipment. If you are coming to buy only 10 vests, or you're coming to buy 1,000 vests, or whatever. And the other thing is, in front of the government, let me a little bit elaborate. In front of the government, we need to make a law. We want to establish a law that is the law of Kitot Konenut, which will tell the police that they must leave the guns spread all over the settlement, or moshavim, kibbutzim, or whatever you call it, and you need to practice them, and how many times in a year you need to practice them to go to the fire range or to do whatever that you need. And by that we can we need to make it steady, and not something that in 1 year from now it will vanish again, and we will encounter it in another war. The other thing is, we are spreading the knowledge between the groups. If I have some kind of an idea, I can tell it to 360 other Kitot Konenut or more. It is very important. We are not a bureaucratic organization. If the police want to spread some kind of thing, they need more time, and they need to do it in a different way than we do it. If we have if Arik is encountering a problem in his settlement Eshchar, we can, as a forum that is organizing 360 Kitot Konenut, can go to the Ministry of Internal Affairs and tell, look, there is a problem here and there. We think you should work with. I think that is the most important thing.
Eventually, we're talking about a classic NGO, non-government organization, which doesn't have the bureaucracy, the regular bureaucracy of government offices, which moves very fast and adjusts to different situations. And the whole purpose of this forum is to just to unite us, all the Kitot Konenut, and help us achieve better achievements. You have to remember that everybody on the Kitot Konenut, we're talking about thousands of people, all are volunteers, all are giving their most precious resource, their time. And we want this thing settled and handled as better and as best as we can get it.
Now, Sharon, you mentioned the Ministry of Internal Affairs. Are you able to just explain these emergency response teams? They work under the auspices of the Ministry of Internal Affairs, or they work under the Army? There's a division. How does that all work?
Okay.
How does that impact your ability to operate?
Okay, there are two major kinds of Kitot Konenut. The one that are very close to the borders are under IDF. Okay, they are under IDF, and they wear the IDF uniform. for that reason. When you are going much wider, and it's basically all over, who is not IDF is under the Ministry of National Security, not the Internal Affairs, and then you are under the police. Okay, in Israel, it's divided between, the security is divided between the IDF and the police. If you are on the border, it's the IDF. If you are not on the border exactly, it's the police. Now, that's exactly one thing that is very important for us as a forum. Us as a forum, we don't care if you are under the IDF or you are under the police. We can help you and you, okay? So, and we can emerge between those two large organizations. So that's a very important positive thing that we can do.
And is there coordination between these civilian groups and the army and the police, that you share information back and forth and you work together, maybe even train together, or is it very separate?
Okay, it's very important to say something. I'm going to answer your question, but it's very important for me to say something. We are not an organization that is a organization militias. Okay, we are under the Israeli law. We don't think that you need to have a private army in every city or settlement. That's not what you need to do. Our guns that we are given to us by the country. We are all citizens of the country, and we are law-abiding citizens of the country. We need to abide the law. Okay, so now with that said, I'm going to answer your question. For us, as an organization, we can share knowledge between all the groups. We are not holding any information between us. Okay, and we are teaching the people that are in our organization how to do a very good security in their settlements. We are sending them emails with all kinds of ideas that they need to take under consideration when they are trying to understand how they can do a better security in their organization. Now we are I'll give you an example. Now, next week, we are going to have a webinar about controlling software that you can use to control the people that are in your Kitat Kalanut, where everybody is. Okay, you can use their phone to understand whoever is going to whatever post and who is next to the other one, and you can send information between the members inside of a security event. Okay, so we are using webinars, we are using emails, and we are having a few WhatsApp group that we are sharing information between us.
Thank you for explaining that. I want to, first of all, thank you, of course, to all of the viewers who are writing in the chat your thoughts, your comments, and we're going to write in the chat the name of the organization so that you can all reach out, you can support, you can learn more. I want to ask a question between the two of you. Sharon, you are located more central Israel. Arik, you are up in the north in a more challenging area. Can you talk to maybe the differences between how your groups train or are prepared for what could come?
I can start my emergency response team. Eshchar, we actually live on some sort of a citadel. We live up on a hill. It's hard to approach us from all areas. There's just one road that goes up. It's an advantage in protecting the issue, and it's a disadvantage because one way is going up the hill, and if we stop anybody who's trying to get up that hill, we stop everybody. But it's also if we need to evacuate and get out of our issue, and that road is blocked, and there has been times before that this road was blocked, we can't get out and we can't get any help as well. So we have, I believe, a different situation than what Sharon has where he lives. We're also around something like 13 miles south of the border of Lebanon. In 2006, we had a few Katyusha rockets falling around us. In this war, we haven't had none falling around us, but we are getting ready and prepared for that happening sometime in the future, I'm afraid.
Moshe, I want to tell you something. I have a problem, let's call it, with your question, okay? Why? Because you are assuming that if you are very close to the border or very close to an Arab village, then you are more vulnerable. Okay, you can be hurt by them. But as I told earlier, 300 meters from here, and I'm not in a settlement, in the settlement kind of way to say, there was a terrorist attack.
No.
Okay, and you need to understand that in every minute, okay, few thousand Arabs from the Judea and Samaria can just hop on their cars and start driving to our villages, okay? Or you know what, the Arab worker that is working on building a house near me can just flip his mind and take his axe and just use it against my family. So I have a problem with that kind of thinking. And I know you're not doing it but I have a problem with that kind of thinking. That's why time and distance, as I told before, is an essence, and that's the main reason for the Kitot Konenut to be ready in every minute, and not just in this war now. I'm talking about years to come. Okay, that's exactly the reason why in October 7th, few Kitot Konenut could not do their job, because they were taken by the guns. The government and not the government, the IDF took their guns because they were afraid that someone will steal it from them, and they found themselves vulnerable and not being able to protect themselves. And I don't think we want it to be again.
Absolutely. Thank you for that correction. And I want to thank both of you for what you do. And when we go into towns and cities across Israel, it really is these emergency response teams that are looking out for us and taking care of us wherever we go. So thank you for pointing that out, and thank you for what you do. Some people are asking, what is the relationship between IDSF and Hineni? And the answer is that IDSF cares about national security, and therefore we are very interested in helping out Hineni succeed. And most recently, I know we were involved in a project to provide some gear, these ceramic plates, through the generosity of donors in California, to make sure that the emergency response teams are well prepared. But let me ask you, in terms of, Sharon, your activities, with the government of Israel, is there discussion about providing more equipment for these teams across the country?
There is a discussion, but there is no understanding that time is an essence. The bureaucracy still is the same. Okay, so if the government wants to provide us gear, they need to do all kinds of things that government do in order to do that. But when you spoke earlier about the project that we did with the IDSF, that you cannot, there is 200 people now that have a ceramic vest on them because of what the IDSF and Hineni organization did. And they didn't waited any minute longer for the government to do whatever government does. Okay, we do it quickly and without bureaucracy, and that is exactly our upgrade.
Amazing. Okay? Amazing. We are almost out of time. I want to ask you one final question for both of you, and I really appreciate your taking the time from your busy schedules, construction and landscape gardening, to share this with all of us. Both of you are quite literally building the land of Israel. So thank you for what you do. So my final question is: many of our viewers are living in the US, Canada, the UK, Australia, across the world, and they potentially encounter anti-Semitism, Jew hatred, and they struggle how to respond. You both take a very active posture in terms of responding to those who are seeking your destruction. So what message would you give to all of our viewers? And obviously the message is not do what you're doing, because the state laws are certainly are different, but just in terms of an approach to life, well, what parting message you have for our viewers?
If I can begin, if
think,
I can be first, if it's okay with you, Sharon.
yeah.
I'll say what I've been brought up in my own home. I'll say be ready, be prepared. Don't think that wherever you live, and I have family in Australia and I have family in the States, I have family in Europe, wherever you live, don't just think that something might happen. Be prepared, be ready, gather up your neighbors, your community, establish communication with your community that you could use in the case of an emergency, and be prepared, be ready. That's my message.
Okay, I will tell you two more ideas that I have now when I'm thinking about it. One is, כל ישראל ערבים זה לזה, okay? I don't know how to translate it in English, but
all Jews are responsible for one another.
Okay, so you are living in communities, and that's exactly the power that you have, that you are in communities. So what Eric told us now, and you told me that some of the communities cannot be, because of law, they cannot maybe bury guns or whatever they do, but you can still be for one another, for one to each other. And I think it is a very powerful thing that you can do. And the other thing is, I think you should consider coming here to Israel to make Aliyah. If you think anti-Semitism is a very strong in your area, maybe that's time for you to come to Israel.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you for sharing that message. You heard it, everyone, straight from Sharon. Everyone is encouraged to make Aliyah, come here to Israel. Maybe there is some homes for sale in Kfar Harif. And wonderful. Thank you both for what you do and what you have shared with us. Thank you to all of our viewers and supporters for tuning into this briefing. We will be back with you next week, 10 a.m. Eastern time on Monday. Until then, stay safe, stay strong. Take care, everyone.
Take care. Thank you very much.